first step is to paint our board. Sponge brush, paint. After your first coat, you're going to want to sand. And you only need one coat of that first color when you're doing a distressed
board.
Paint the second color. It's a good idea to do the sides at the same time. Or maybe even do them first. If it's not going into those little cracks in there, get more paint and dab it in like this. You gotta look at your board, and if there's streaking on it, any kind of streaking, or it's just not a consistent color, we'll do one more coat. So, some more paint. And we'll do one more coat. We'll hit the sides first. Now we've got a stencil here, and we're going to weed it. So usually when you're making a sign with words on it, you're going to remove each letter of the words. You can do a reverse where you remove the whole background and you leave the letters, but usually you're going to be removing the letters so that you can paint them onto your sign. And the rule with weeding is that whatever you remove, everything next to it has to stay there. So I'm removing the letters, but all this stuff that's around the letters has to stay there. Okay, now our board is painted and we are gonna start distressing it. We got some 60 grit sandpaper. I like to fold it in half and I like to start off at the edges on kind of an angle. And you just start pulling. In some areas, maybe it's a little more sanded. So far, this is what we got. After you've distressed your wood with the 60 grit, then you can come in and use some 220 grit or 400 and just go over it to smooth it all out. Doesn't take too long. Now we're going to apply our transfer tape to our stencil. So the first thing you do is you take the tape off of the backing. And then what I like to do is put it back on the backing, but just let maybe about 2 inches of it hang over the edge like that. Then I'm going to take this and we're going to apply it to our stencil. And I'm going to use the grid line at the top. I'm going to line that up with the top of my stencil. That, and smooth it down. And it's a good idea to use a smoothing tool. To smooth it on like that. And then you just take this and you fold it up and you pull this out. And as you're doing it, you smooth it on. Like that. And now you want to make sure it's smoothed on real well. Now we're gonna get the backing off of the stencil. So now I like to flip it over and kind of fold it so that you can get that stencil to start popping off. Sometimes you have to help it a little bit with an X-Acto knife. And now we're gonna roll, and every so often make a crease, and then keep rolling, roll. Now sometimes what happens is it tries to stick to your backing, so you have to push down and then roll. You don't want anything to be stuck on this backing when you're done. So if there's little pieces like those 2 little pieces right there, push it back down and just rub over it with your finger and then roll it. And if you lose some pieces, just hang on to them and we can put them back on later. Roll. stick the stencil onto the wood. So one way to do it is to have your stencil on the transfer tape, sticky side up, and take your wood board and put it face down. Line up the edge of it with the top edge of your board, of your stencil, like that. And then drop the board down, like that. Flip it over, and you got it on there. Now, smooth it on. Peel off your transfer tape. And you're ready to go. Now we are going to seal our stencil so that no paint bleeds underneath. We've got sanding sealer here and a little dabber. And we're just gonna dab it right on. I just noticed I'm missing the little circle in my A right there. So I'm going to cut one really quick. Okay. And then I think I'm gonna kind of brush mine on, smooth it out a little bit. And then let that dry. Okay, now we're gonna start painting the stencil, but I wanna paint everything one color except for the word beach. I want that to be another color. So I'm gonna take some tape and cover it up. And we'll do that color next. So now I'm gonna paint the stencil. I like to use the sponge brush, get a lot of paint on it, and just go right into it. You can dab it on first if you want to. And once you got it dabbed, then smooth it out. Just like that. There's the first coat. You want your coats of paint to be real solid. So you're gonna need to do at least 2 coats, maybe 3. Depends on the color you're using, but you can see that that's not a solid coverage. You can still see the color underneath. So we'll do another coat. Quick and easy. If you hold the brush and you push down on it with your fingers, you can get real nice coats of paint. And that's it. So now I'm gonna paint the word beach, the last word that hasn't been painted yet. So I'm gonna take off the tape that's covering it up, roll it off. There's the word that I gotta paint, but I don't wanna get paint on the stuff above it or below it. So now I'll take this tape and I will just cover this a little bit above it and a little bit below it. Okay, get my paint. Sponge brush. Maybe I'll do a little dabbing. Okay, and then smooth it out. There's your first coat. And now we'll do our last coat here. Same thing as the first. Real quick, real easy. Use a big brush. That's it. That's all there is to it. Here's the finished product. I decided to add a border around the edge, which I did just using painter's tape to make the thin line. And that's it.